Well, the 2012 election is going to be about the economy and jobs. I think we can agree on that. Most polls show that across the country. Mitt Romney's history at Bain Capital is not going to help his image as a job creator. Now, we want to disclose that NBC Universal and Bain Capital are each a part owner of the Weather Channel. Bain Capital's main business model is buying companies like American Pad and Paper and restructuring them. In many instances, Bain turned a profit by strip mining these companies. American AMPAD is what it's known. The stock was driven down and the company went bankrupt. They fired hundreds of workers along the way. One of the people who lost his job at an AMPAD factory in Marion, Indiana, was Randy Johnson. He recently told ABC News what it was like to see his fellow AMPAD workers trying to find new careers.
It was really one of the worst things I think I've had to deal with, because people the age I am now were at my desk crying, what do I do? I don't have a good high school education. How do I get a GED? I just want to get to retirement. In some cases, we had the husband and wife both working there. They lost all income, and it doesn't get much worse than that.
Randy Johnson told his story to the voters of Massachusetts back in 1994 when Mitt Romney was challenging Senator Ted Kennedy. Romney lost that race. Randy Johnson is telling his story once again in hopes it has the same effect. We are joined tonight by Randy Johnson, who is currently on the staff of the United Steelworkers. Mr. Johnson, good to have you with us tonight. You've seen this song and dance before. Do you believe Bain Capital under Mitt Romney profited from putting people out of work?
I think a lot of times that during the purchase of these companies, they learned that running up debt, developing stock, actually putting a company out there to make the best profit for its shareholders, but not the workers. And that's what they did. It's a scheme that kind of goes on, and I think that's proved out by some of the board of directors from the AMPAD and some of the things I've heard since then. They actually go out.
Yeah, they actually do what?
They actually go out and look for these companies in distress. And that's what AMPAD was. And then AMPAD bought my plant, and when we kind of stood up and said, wait a minute, you're cutting our health care, you're cutting our benefits in all ways, shapes, and form. We no longer had a pension plan. All these things happened to us. We said no more, and we had a labor dispute over it. And then their answer was, okay, we're going to pick the plant up, move away, and just leave us, the workers, holding the bag. And not only us, the community.
Is Romney unfriendly to labor, or is he just looking to make a dollar? What do you think his philosophy is? Well,
I'm pretty sure he's unfriendly to labor. He has no love there. But I think he's out to make a buck. He's always been out about making a buck. That was his major thing. We have a fundamental problem whenever all they think about is profit at the expense of workers, families, communities. That's what really happens.
I want to play something Romney said at a recent debate in Sioux City, Iowa. Here it is. Let's take a listen.
Government doesn't create jobs, but the private sector does. I spent my life, my career in the private sector. I understand, by the way, from my successes and failures, what it's going to take to put Americans back to work with high-paying jobs.
What goes through your mind when you hear Mitt Romney say that he knows how to put people to work after what you've been through?
Well, first of all, I don't think he's spent a lot of time in low-level management working with real workers on the job, so I don't know how he can really tell that part of it. But it's even bigger whenever you start thinking about what happens to these people. I keep going back to that. He needs to have an understanding that just by creating wealth doesn't do it. You've got to put some of that wealth back into your jobs in the communities so people have a chance, an opportunity in the future. I don't believe he's ever had to do that. I don't know how he ever worked in a plant or a factory and come out with the concept that, it doesn't really matter what happens to the workers.
Is it true that Mitt Romney wrote you a letter when he lost the Senate race in 1994 after you told this story?
He actually wrote me a letter and faxed it in to me on the day the plant closed. It was, what a time to receive a letter when you needed help sooner, not when it closes. But he did said no one more than him wished it hadn't happened. That's probably true.
But he's anti-worker. This guy will gut jobs, ship them overseas, run the profit to the bottom line to benefit a very few. Is that a fair description of Mitt Romney?
Yeah, I don't think he really worries about the companies or the workers. I think it's about profit. It's pure profit.
Randy Johnson, good to have you on the Ed Show tonight. Thanks so much for joining us.
Appreciate it.